I'm going to take a look at Mike Oldfield. This is a video of his Virgin albums. Mike was the composer of Tubeler Bells, one of the most successful instrumentals of the last 50 years. And he is an incredible composer and fantastic guitarist. So let's take a look at the catalogue on vinyl right now. Tubeler Bells is a masterpiece. It's a kind of a tapestry of an assortment and a myriad of instruments that Mike played himself mainly. There's a few guests on it as well. It's staggering that a man in his late teens wrote this. Yeah, it's V 2001, which was the very first Virgin LP to be released. Nobody else would release it. All the instruments that he's played are on the back of this here. Side 1 is 25 minutes. Side 2, 23:50. There's some incredible sounds on the album, and organs and percussion instruments, wind instruments. It's just staggering, and if you've never heard it, I would say give it a shot. This is a picture disc version. I think these were released in 1978. It's just, again, side 1 and 2, nothing else. Paragus Ridge was the second album, released in 1974. This one, again, 2 long pieces make up the complete album. Pretty ambitious. I like part 1 more than I like part 2. Part 2 has got a massive orchestra of overdubbed guitars, and it sounds like a monster. But I feel it kind of goes on a little bit too long. Again, Mike plays most of the stuff on this. A few guest musicians. This was also reissued in, I think, 2008 or 9. And it has a different sleeve. 2010 actually, I think. It has a different sleeve with a glider and stuff like that. And I had it and I got rid of it because I just didn't like the sound of it. And that's your Virgin label. Pretty simple, huh? So Paragus Ridge again, I think part 1 is really, really beautiful, and one of the best things he's done. The third album was called Amadon. This was released in 1975. This is another good one. It's a little bit minimal compared to the first 2. There's a lot of African drums and stuff like that. The guitar sound on this is incredible. Yeah, he's got a few guest musicians as well here. Pierre Morlaine, I think, was in a French band called Gong. Leslie Penning recorders, Terry Oldfield, his brother, and panpipes. Paddy Maloney from the Chieftains plays uilleann pipes on side 2. And this female choir, vocal choir. Yeah, there's a little song tacked on to the end of the second side called On Horseback. A little ditty. So there you go. It's pretty nice. I like this album. Pretty cool. Next up is Boxed. This is a compilation of the first 3 albums, Tubeler Bells, Paragus Ridge and Amadon, and there's also a disc of rarities here as well. There's a cool booklet here as well. Gives you all the details of the albums. And I think the mixes on this is slightly different as well. And then you got Collaborations, it's called. It's the 4th disc. Ephesian Games, David Bedford, Extract from Stars End. Great guitar on this as well. His sound back then and tone is fantastic. The Rio Grande, First Excursion, and Algiers, Portsmouth, that was a single. In Dulce Jubilo, Speak Though You Only Say Farewell. That's a kind of a, I think Mike is singing. It's just like a skit. It's like yeah, it's funny. So the LPs are inside here. Sleeve, different version here now. There you go. So yeah, it's a nice set to have. You can pick these up pretty cheaply, and they're not too expensive. It was released on compact disc in 1989 with 3 CDs, and the extras were put at the end of each album. Next up is Incantations. This was released in 1978. It's a double LP. Again, it was reissued in the last decade with a completely different cover. So again, this is long instrumental pieces. You've got Incantation Part 1 and Part 2 on the first disc, and then 3 and 4 on the second. There's some nice stuff on it. Hiawatha, a poem by Longfellow, is sung over kind of a chiming, percussive beat. It's quite nice. Maddie Pryor singing the vocal. Yeah, I like it. The album's probably a little bit too long, but I like it. Yeah, it seemed to work well in concert. His guitar playing on it is emotional and excellent. Next up is a live album, Exposed. This was released in 1979. It was from the European tour that spring. Some great photographs on it. There we go. Band is quite big on this. Each side has a different photograph. It says an SQ quadraphonic recording. Quad was a kind of a thing back in the 70s for vinyl. where I think if you had an amplifier with 4 speakers, like a kind of quadraphonic sound. I'm not sure. I've never. But they play back on normal systems as well. Yeah, there's a DVD of this tour. Again, I think called Exposed, and it was Wembley Conference Centre, and it's quite good. I have it. It's excellent. The concert also has Tubeler Bells, parts 1 and 2, and Guilty, which was a single that came from Incantations. It's got similar music. So this has Incantations and Tubeler Bells on it. And yeah, it's a cool album. I like it. Next up is Platinum. This is from late '79. I really like this one. I would call it my Goldfield's disco album. Side 1 is 4 parts. Make up the side of the album. Platinum. On some releases it actually tells you the breakdown of them. There's Airborne, Platinum, Charleston and North Star. Airborne is great. His guitar again on this is fantastic. Side 2 is a little bit duller. It has Wood Hinge. I think that's a piece from the mid-70s that was put on this. Very, very subtle. It's not very interesting. Sally. I think then one of them was called Into Wonderland. It's a different song completely. But it's, let me check it out here. Yeah, it's Into Wonderland, I think, as far as I know. The Richard Branson hated it or something. Well, maybe not him, but the record company hated it. Sally is written on this, but there is an edition with that song. I know it's not this one. Punkadiddle, I really like that as well. That's quite cool. And then I got Rhythm, and that is sung by Wendy Roberts. So yeah, Platinum is cool. It's kind of more less serious. I was always baffled why they didn't put Guilty on it, a single that came out in '79. Guilty would have been great on side 2. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's a bit strange because Guilty's a cracking track. Airborne, this is a US press of Platinum. It's got 2 discs, and you can see here it actually does say Into Wonderland instead of Sally. Because Sally, like I said, is Into Wonderland on the normal version of Platinum, but the early pressings have the actual Sally itself. So the second disc here is Tubeler Bells Part 1, and that's from the Exposed tour, and then side 4 Incantations studio and live. So that's a mishmash, as they call it. Next up is Impressions. This one was, I think, a mail order back in the day. 1980 it was released. Interesting, because it's a double, and there's a lot of stuff here that you normally don't get. Anyway, let's check out the discs first. what you know later. Yeah, there you go. This is cool because what you have here is side 1 is Tubeler Bells Part 1, and that's from, again, the European Tour 1979. Similar to the Airborne version. And Amadon is on side 2, Part 1. So there you go. This is kind of an anthology, I guess. And then side 3 has Platinum. So you got Airborne, Platinum, Charleston, Punkadiddle, and I Got Rhythm. But the version of I Got Rhythm here is definitely different. It's slightly different, but you can tell. Side 4, you've got Guilty, Pipe Tune, which is I think something from around the Incantations era. Indulci Jubilo, Recorder Rondo, that's another one from the mid-70s. Cuckoo Song, On Horseback, Portsmouth, Sailor's Hornpipe. So it's nice to have all these here, you know, because they were only available on singles. So it's cool in that respect. So yeah, so there you go. That's impressions. Next up is QE2. This one was released in 1980. It's shorter pieces on it. The longest track itself is Taurus, which is about 10 or 11 minutes. It's okay, again the guitar work sounds fantastic, but not compelling or anything like that. There's a porthole here. QE2. Taurus, Sheba, Conflict, Arrival. That's a cover of the ABBA instrumental from ABBA's massive smash Arrival. Wonderful Land. That's a song I think that the Shadows had back in the 60s. Mirage, QE2, Celt and Molly, which is a little simple guitar and synthesizer piece. But yeah, QE2 is, it's okay. Produced by David Hinchell. You might know him from Genesis. I like the artwork, graphic is nice. So is the label. And fantastic. Isn't it fantastic? This wouldn't be my favourite Oldfield album. I think Platinum is better, but yeah, there you go. Phil Collins actually plays drums as well on. Next up is 5 Miles Out. This is a return to form in 1982. I like this album. It has really cool artwork of the multi-track. Some nice band photos. Picture of Mike in the studio. I think the Telecaster is the one that was used on Tubeler Bells. Mike has cool guitars. Lots of Gibsons. There's actually a website where you can check out all his guitars. 5 Miles Out has Taurus 2, 24 minutes. It's an instrumental that twists and turns. I like it. Paddy Maloney from the Chieftains appears again. And then side 2 has got pop songs. Well, kind of. Family Man. That was a big hit for Hall & Oates, believe it or not. And then we have Orabidoo. It's 13 minutes. That's quite long again. And then Mount TD. And 5 Miles Out, which is about Mike's nerve-wracking trip over the Pyrenees in Spain in an aircraft when they ran into a storm. And they all thought they were going to kick the bucket. So yeah, 5 Miles Out, great album and a great cover as well. Crises. This was released in 1983. Mike was now 1 decade in the music business. This one, yeah, it's it's good. Again, it has a sidelong instrumental and then some commercial poppy songs, poppier songs. You might know Moonlight Shadow. That was a hit from this, In High Places, featuring John Anderson on vocals. I really like that one. Foreign Affair features Maggie Riley, as Moonlight Shadow did. Taurus 3 is a brief instrumental, which has got some really nice acoustic guitar playing on it, and Shadow on the Wall. This has Roger Chapman on vocals. I like this album. Yeah, the sound is good. Simon Phillips plays drums, and at the build-up for the finale of Crises, his drums are absolutely incredible. Blow the head right off you. So there you go. Crises. It's got a nice custom label. All these have been reissued, and there's even a box set of this one, with lots of extras and DVD and stuff. I think there was a live in Wembley Arena or somewhere like that. Next up is Discovery. This is probably one of my favourite Mike Oldfield albums. Released in 1984. It's mainly an album of songs with one instrumental, which is absolutely stunning, and that is called The Lake. Side 1, To France, that was a hit. He was actually on top of the pops with that. Poison Arrows, I like that as well. Crystal Gazing, Tricks of Delight, Discovery, kind of heavy rock, you know. Side 2, Talk About Your Life, that repeats the theme from To France. Saved by a Bell and The Lake. Vocals here are shared between Maggie Riley and Barry Palmer. I think he was in a band called Triumvirate or something like that. Simon Phillips, Tama drums. Phillips is just a fantastic drummer, and I love his work with Mike. Mike played everything else himself. Recorded in the Swiss Alps at 2,000 meters within sight of Lake Geneva on sunny days. Isn't that cool? DMM, Direct Metal Mastering. You always know that discs that are direct metal, because I think they have less of a lip on them. They're kind of a very flat at the edges. So there. This one is cool because it comes in a nice inner, and there's some nice photographs there as well. You could send away for it's a 64-page songbook. If you can't find one and want one, please send a cheque for £5.95 and 85 pence for packing and postage in the UK. That's quite expensive back then, isn't it? Yeah, see all the nice guitars. That is cool. That's one place I would have loved to have been. Mike's Adamus guitar. Ovation Adamus. And this is cool as well. It just shows you all the albums. So there you go. Very, very cool. Yeah, I like this album. It's good. I like the drums on it. Fantastic drumming by Simon Phillips. Right, The Killing Fields original film soundtrack. This was a pretty big movie back then, in '84. Good movie actually. This is just a total instrumental album of little pieces that fit the movie. Yeah, there's some orchestrations on it as well, but it's a lot better than a lot of soundtracks from the 80s with hit singles tagged onto it. One of the nicest things here is Etude, which is beautiful. It's by Francisco Tariga. There's a video as well. The Fairlight was used a lot in this album. Lots of samples, lots of pitch shifting and stuff like that. For different tunes. You know, you could hear people sampling their voices back then, you know. The Art of Noise, I think we're famous for. Cutting edge technology back in early 80s. Yeah, so there you go, that's the Killing Fields. Next up is The Complete My Goldfield. This is a compilation anthology from 1985. It's quite nice to have. Double LP. Some stuff that you can't really get anywhere else. There's some nice sleeve notes as well. Yeah. If you see Mike with a helicopter, he became a pilot in the late 70s, and then he had his helicopter license after that. Side one of this one has Arrival in Dulce, Jubilo, Portsmouth, Jungle Gardenia, Guilty, Blue Peter, Wahlberg, The Peak, Wonderful Land, Etude. Yeah, these are kind of from singles, and it's nice to have them rounded up on this. God, this one is in mint condition actually. Then you have side 2, which are the songs: Moonlight Shadow, Family Man, Mistake, that's another non-album track. 5 Miles Out, Crime of Passion, that's another non-album track. Barry Palmer on vocals. To France, Shadow on the Wall. And the Shadow on the Wall here, I think, is the extended version. Then disc 2, you have the complex section. Excerpts from Amadon, Tubeler Bells, Paragus Ridge, Incantations, and The Killing Fields. These don't really work because, you know, if you're going to listen to them, you listen to the complete album. And then you've got some live tracks: Sheba, Mirage, Platinum, and Mount Tide. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is cool. Again, this came out on double disc, double CD. It hasn't been remastered or anything like that as far as I know. But there's been other compilations, so it's probably redundant. But on vinyl, it's nice to have. Some of the vinyl editions I noticed have got slightly different track listings. There's a single as well that Mike released in 1985, late 85, called Pictures in the Dark. That features Ala Jones on vocals and Anita Hegerland, who was Mike's girlfriend after that, or wife I think. So that's on some of these in different territories. Next up is Islands. This is from 1987. I think this is kind of where Mike started kind of getting lost, to be totally honest. I don't remember anything from this when it came out back then. There was also a video made to go with the album. It's kind of searching for ideas. It's got a side-long instrumental on side 1, and then side 2 has got tracks sung by different guest singers. None of them particularly very strong. Islands itself features Bonnie Tyler on vocals. Again, very middle of the road rock. Flying Start, vocals on that by Kevin Ayers. I really like that one. That's one of my favourites, yeah. That's a good one. North Point, vocals by Anita Hegerland. That's a nice track as well. Then you've got Magic Touch. It almost sounds like something from a car ad or something, or, you know. And The Time Has Come. I think there's an extra track on the compact disc version of this, but yeah, wouldn't be my favourite. You know, Song of the Wind Chimes is nice, yeah. Again, Simon Phillips plays drums, so you know what's not to like about it. This is on the back here. It says Dolby SR, master tape recorded using Dolby SR, Dolby Spectral Recording. It was a type of noise reduction that gave you full dynamics without sucking the tone, I think. Analog, obviously. So there you go, that's the nothing. This isn't, like I said, this hasn't been reissued as part of the remasters yet, but I guess it will eventually pop out. Can't be too long more now. There's been nothing from Mike in a while now, I think, since Return to Amadon. Yeah, and that was 2017. So yeah, there's been absolutely nothing for 5 years now. Earth Moving. This one is from 1989. Again, this is just all songs. It's pretty disappointing because, you know, with Mike I always want to hear instrumental. It's like he's kind of dashing from one thing to the next and kind of trying to appease the record company. You know, I think at one stage in the 80s Branson said that instrumental music is gone now. Yeah, this one isn't. There's just a lot of guest singers on it. Holy kicks off the album. It's got Adrian Belew on vocals, and that's probably one of the best tracks on the whole album. Adrian Belew, as well as a great guitar player. Here you go. It's, yeah, it wouldn't be my favourite. You know, I don't think I could sit down and listen to it now. Some of the heavier rock stuff on it sounds very contrived. It's kind of sounds almost kind of fake. Hostage, yeah, that's pretty middle of the road stuff. I think Mike recorded this, I don't know, was it on a laptop or something? On a Atari C or something like that. Notator, I can't remember. Far Country. That's a good song actually. Far Country is a nice track. Vocal by Mark Williamson. Max Bacon also appears on Hostage. Innocent, Anita Hegerland. It's not bad again. It kind of reminds me of Moonlight Shadow. There was a video for that. It's awful. Runaway Son, Chris Thompson. That's again. It sounds like music from advertising. You know, it's. You could imagine a guy running through the garden, kicking a football to these songs and breaking a window and calling up window repair. See the lights. Chris Thompson's on that one. It's pretty heart moving. Nicky B. Bentley from B-Force. Blue Night, that's not bad. That's a nice track as well. Maggie Riley on vocals. Nothing But, featuring Carol Kenyon, and that goes into Bridge to Paradise, and that's Max Bacon. Two of those songs are joined together. Yeah. Recorded using Atari 1040 SI with C-Lab Notator software, Roland and Cork synths, Fairlight 3 PRS guitars, Harrison Series X console, Studio A 800 tape deck with Dolby SR noise reduction, and Ampeg Grand Master tape. ATC SCM 200 monitors, digitally mastered. This was probably his last analog recording. After that he bought digital gear, as far as I know. This it was produced by Daniel Lazarus as well. He started using Paul Reed Smith guitars. Again, the tone here then became quite dark and kind of less stinging, I guess you could say. Yeah, it wasn't my favourite guitar tone. It's a little bit like the way Mark Knopfler went from the clean Strat chimes back in the early 80s, and by Brothers in Arms all of a sudden the guitar was getting very dense, and then by the late 80s his stuff was very dense and it didn't have that crack anymore, you know. Mike did that as well, and the guitar kind of blended in better with the electronic stuff he was starting to do. Amarok. This was released in 1990. This was kind of meant to be Amadon Part 2, I think. he's steering through the glass window with the rain on this one, just like in Amadon. But times had changed. This album wasn't very well received. He plays most of the stuff on it himself, and there's a health warning on the album. This record could be hazardous to the health of cloth-eared nincompoops. If you suffer from this condition, consult your doctor immediately. Mike was interviewed on the radio around that time, giving out about modern music and dance music and stuff, and saying it was all crap and rubbish. Yeah, he was kind of a bit angry and a bit disillusioned, but his contract with Virgin was coming to an end. Paddy Maloney appears on this, Clodagh Simmons, Bridget St. John, Jeanette Brown. African musicians organised by Julian Bahula. Produced and engineered by Tom Newman. So yeah, there's lots of stuff on this. I like it to some good bits. It's a bit too long. It's an hour long. The compact disc is just all one track. The vinyl obviously breaks it in two. There's a little story here as well about two guys, I think, to find a statue. So there you have. So it's called The Beginning on one side. It doesn't say what it is on the other side. It just says The Beginning, Amarok, The Beginning. Okay. I think how he did this was he had a Sony 3348 dash recorder, which was an incredibly expensive machine at the time, but it was a digital machine that you could actually splice the tape on, like an analog tape recorder. So this was a pretty amazing tape recorder. You probably pick one up for €100 now. But that's how he did this. He punched in them as he went and stuff like that. That's I think that's the story of it. He did most of it on the fly. All the instruments, you know, acoustic. So it's sounds fantastic, and it's got lots of things in there. There's a Morse code section at one stage where he taps out Morse code, and I think it says "F.U. Richard Branson." So this is an angry album. Next up is Heaven's Open. This is a bit of a strange one in Mike's catalogue. It was his last album for Virgin. Also, as you noticed here, it says Michael Oldfield. He was just being as odd as he could. Pissed off with Virgin. Okay, there's some weird music on this one. First track, Make. It's just about people being greedy and stuff like that. No Dream. I really like that track. It's fantastic. Mr. Shame. It's okay. Give Me Back. It's kind of a reggae track, and Heaven's Open. The thing about this is that Mike sings all the songs himself. And yeah, he's convincing enough. His voice can be quite soft in some parts. It's quite frail and vulnerable in others. And inside too is Music from the Balcony. That's a bit one of the weirdest and oddest instrumentals he's ever done. It sounds like computer game music, and it's chopped up and spliced and all this kind of stuff. There you go. I think it's the Mandelbrot set or something like that. This is a strange one, yeah. The mix as well is kind of bizarre. Like the bass is very deep, and then you got guitars like that are. The mix is uneven, deliberately. The band here: Simon Phillips drums, Dave Levy bass, Mickey Simmons Hammond piano, Mike vocals, guitars, keyboards, Andy Longhurst additional keyboards, and Courtney Pine saxophone, bass, clarinet, and then you got the choirs and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit, yeah. The digits: Atari, C-Lab, Fairlight, Akai S1100, EMU, Proteus, Roland D50, D550, Korg M1. I actually have one of those myself. Great keyboard. Steinberg, Topaz, The mixer, Harrison Series X. The recorder, Sony 3348. That's the digital tape recorder I was talking about. Microphones, BNTK. So yeah, there you go. It's a bit of an odd album. Might listen to it the odd time, but it's a bit strange and a bit angry. So that's my Goldfield vinyl on Virgin. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe and take care.